Hello Dub Nation, it's always a thrill to connect with you, especially as we're about to reveal the latest news that could shape the fate of our beloved Golden State Warriors. But before we dive into this whirlwind of information, let me make a friendly request. Show us some love by clicking the like button to strengthen our bond, and hey, if you are not subscribed yet, join our channel for a thrilling and emotional journey. Don't forget to turn on notifications to stay ahead of the game.
Steve Kerr has delivered a worrying update on Jimmy Butler's injury status. And for a battered Golden State Warriors squad, this might be the last thing they needed. With Stephen Curry already sidelined, the Warriors are navigating a rough stretch at a moment when they can least afford setbacks. Draymond Green is also reportedly playing through pain, leaving the bulk of the responsibility on Jimmy Butler's shoulders. But Dub Nation may now be bracing for yet another blow, this time involving their newest leader. Butler took a nasty fall in the Warriors' recent matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans. Midway through the second quarter, he crashed to the hardwood after attempting an alley-oop while tightly contested by Micah Peavy. He tried to get up right away, but the pain was written all over his face. He limped noticeably as he made his way back to his feet. Despite the scare, Butler pushed through and delivered a stellar performance. 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. His effort was crucial in Golden State's 104-96 win over the Pelicans, a much-needed victory for a team already fighting through adversity. But the real concern came after the game, when Steve Kerr addressed Butler's condition. And his update didn't exactly calm anyone's nerves. "I'm sure he's going to be sore tomorrow," Kerr told reporters. "I asked him when it happened, what hurts? And he said, everything." Kerr tried to lighten the mood with a joke, adding, "I told him, same here. I'm 60, everything hurts on me too." He praised Butler's toughness and his impact on the win, but avoided offering specifics about the severity of the injury. Fortunately for Golden State, the team has a few days without games, giving Butler some valuable time to recover. Still, the worst-case scenario looms large, losing both Butler and Curry at the same time. For a Warriors team that's already had an up-and-down start to the season, that possibility could turn a challenging stretch into a crisis. But the conversation around Butler's fall didn't end with Kerr's cautious remarks. Within hours, analysts across the league began weighing in, highlighting how precarious Golden State's situation has become. With Curry already unavailable and Green far from full strength, the Warriors have relied heavily on Butler's physicality, leadership, and ability to stabilize the offense when things start to unravel. Former players on national panels noted that Butler's workload has quietly increased since Curry went down, especially in late-game situations where Golden State has struggled all season. The concern now is whether the team has unintentionally overextended him, a risk that becomes even greater given Butler's age and the demanding style of play he's known for. Internally, the Warriors are said to be monitoring Butler closely, but no formal evaluation has yet been shared with the public. Team staff emphasized that the next 48 hours will be critical in determining whether the veteran forward will be available for their upcoming stretch, which includes tough matchups against teams known for their physical play. The possibility of missing both Curry and Butler simultaneously has also raised questions about Golden State's depth. Players like Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga may be pushed into larger roles earlier than expected, while Kerr may need to adjust the team's offensive structure to compensate for the absence of its primary shot creators. Around the league, rival coaches have quietly expressed sympathy, but also acknowledged that this is the kind of stretch that tests a franchise's resilience. The Warriors have long been known for overcoming adversity, but the cumulative toll of injuries this season has forced the organization to confront its limits in ways it hasn't experienced in years. Front office conversations have reportedly turned toward contingency planning as well, exploring short-term adjustments rather than major moves. Still, the uncertainty around Butler's availability has accelerated discussions that were initially expected to unfold later in the season. For now, the Warriors can only wait. Butler's determination to play through pain is well documented, but the franchise knows that pushing him too quickly could create a far larger problem down the line. The next update from the team's medical staff may determine whether Golden State can stabilize its season, or whether the challenges ahead will be even steeper than anyone anticipated. Kevon Looney has opened up about how he hopes to be remembered by the Golden State Warriors following his emotional return to the Bay. Before Saturday night's matchup between the Warriors and the New Orleans Pelicans, Looney was greeted with a warm tribute from the organization, a moment that clearly meant as much to him as it did to the franchise honoring him. For nearly a decade, Looney was woven into the fabric of the Warriors' identity. Drafted 30th overall in 2015, He became a key pillar in Golden State's championship runs in 2017, 2018, and 2022. Warriors fans still speak of him with admiration, viewing him as a true Bay Area legend. After 10 seasons with the organization, his playing time declined during the 2024-25 campaign, leading to his departure in the 2025 offseason. Looney signed a 2-year deal with the New Orleans Pelicans, reuniting with former Warrior Jordan Poole and beginning a new chapter in his career. Even so, the love from Golden State's fanbase and staff never faded. His Pelicans team, considered an underdog, fell 104-96 to the Warriors, and Looney played just 10 minutes, but the night was far more about recognition than box scores. For Looney, his decade with the franchise still carries deep meaning. He was never the flashiest player, never the guy chasing headlines or gaudy stats. Instead, he earned respect by embracing the dirty work, fighting for rebounds, diving for loose balls, and executing the screen-heavy, detail-oriented offense Steve Kerr built. He became the Warriors' anchor in ways that rarely appear on highlight reels, but always mattered in winning moments. His return to Chase Center came with a heartfelt tribute. The Warriors held a press event and aired a commemorative video celebrating his contributions, a gesture that visibly touched Looney, who reflected on what he hopes his legacy in Golden State will be. "So many memories come back from my time here," Looney said before tip-off. "I just want to be remembered as a tough guy. Someone who showed up every night. A guy who brought his hard hat and never complained. Whatever they asked me to do, I tried to give everything I had. That's how I hope people remember me." For many in the Warriors' orbit, Looney will always represent the standard for the center position in their system. Over the years, Golden State has cycled through big men, but Looney's reliability, discipline, and basketball IQ made him a constant presence. His role eventually shrank, particularly during the 2024-25 season, as Quinton Post emerged as a key contributor and the team shifted to a rotation featuring Post, Tracy Jackson-Davis, and veteran Al Horford. The Warriors are satisfied with their current group, but there's an undeniable difference in energy and consistency compared to the Looney era, something that reminds fans how vital he truly was. Looney's journey with the Pelicans has been eventful. He suffered an injury shortly after joining the team, but he is healthy now and carving out a steady role behind standout rookie Derek Queen. While no longer a starter, he continues to bring the same effort and professionalism that defined his decade in Golden State. And if Saturday night proved anything, it's that the Warriors and their fans will always remember Kevon Looney exactly the way he hoped, as a Warrior in every sense of the word. Looney's departure, while handled with professionalism on all sides, has also sparked conversations among Warriors insiders about how the franchise manages long-tenured role players. Many within the organization acknowledge that phasing out Looney was one of the tougher decisions of the past few years, especially given his durability, team-first mentality, and strong presence in the locker room. Former teammates have openly expressed how much Looney meant to the group, both on and off the floor. Several players commented after the game that his voice was often one of the most respected during film sessions and team meetings. He was known as someone who understood Kerr's system as well as any player in the Steph, Klay, Draymond era, and his ability to communicate defensive coverages and offensive spacing helped younger teammates develop more quickly. This is part of why his return resonated so deeply with the fan base. Many Warriors supporters see Looney as a bridge between the dynasty's peak years and the transitional phase the team is currently navigating. His consistency during volatile stretches of injuries, roster changes, and playoff battles created a sense of stability that is harder to define now that he's gone. For the Pelicans, Looney's veteran presence has been a welcome addition to a roster that leans heavily on youth and athleticism. Coaches have praised his professionalism and his willingness to mentor Derek Queen, who has quickly become one of the most promising young centers in the league. Although Looney's minutes remain limited, his influence behind the scenes has reportedly made an impact on the Pelicans' development culture. Around the league, Looney's reception in Golden State has sparked renewed appreciation for players whose value extends beyond traditional star metrics. Analysts on national platforms pointed out that Looney embodies a type of player every championship team needs, someone who sacrifices touches, embraces a physically demanding role, and stays ready regardless of shifting rotations or roster priorities. Even executives from other franchises commented privately that Looney's recognition was well-deserved, a reminder that longevity, loyalty, and consistency still matter in a league increasingly defined by trades and rapid roster turnover. Golden State, meanwhile, continues to adjust to life without one of its most dependable contributors. While the center rotation has stabilized with Post, Jackson-Davis, and Horford, Kerr has acknowledged that Looney's combination of timing, physicality, and instincts cannot be replicated overnight. Much of the responsibility now falls on Post to maintain the defensive discipline and screening accuracy that Looney perfected over the years. As the season progresses, Warriors fans may find themselves comparing the current frontcourt's chemistry to the standard Looney set through his decade of service. And judging by the heartfelt ovation he received upon his return, that standard remains fresh in the memories of everyone at Chase Center. Gary Payton II reveals how Jimmy Butler is helping him elevate his game in Warriors practices. The Golden State Warriors have been searching for consistency all season long. With an 11-10 record nearly 6 weeks into the campaign, they currently sit 8th in the Western Conference, a spot that would force them into a play-in battle just to reach the playoffs. While Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler have delivered strong performances, several players haven't quite met expectations, including Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. But one Warrior has quietly taken a meaningful leap, Gary Payton II. And according to him, Jimmy Butler has played a major role in that improvement. Gary Payton II's one-on-one battles with Jimmy Butler are shaping his game. Payton's stats have never told the full story, and this season is no different. He's averaging just 3.9 points in 11.8 minutes per game. Yet his contributions go far beyond scoring. Payton remains one of the Warriors' most versatile and disruptive defenders, capable of guarding point guards, wings, and even bigs when needed. But Payton says Butler is taking his defensive growth to another level. Speaking with the dunker spot, the 32-year-old revealed how guarding Butler one-on-one in practice has sharpened his ability to defend players who thrive inside the paint. One night it might be Ja Morant. The next, it could be Lauri Markkanen, Payton explained. I've just got to stay locked in. It could be a big guy, I might have to pick up a center. He added that his role is simple, whatever the coaching staff asks of him, he'll do. I just play within what they need and try to shut down parts of the other team's game plan. But it's Butler, with his physical post-ups and relentless attacks, who is giving Payton the toughest and most valuable reps. Some guys rely a lot on their back-to-the-basket game, like Jimmy. I go one-on-one with him, and that helps a lot when I'm in those matchups where it's just a battle inside. Still, Payton made it clear that defense is a team effort. Take last night, for example, when we needed to stay glued to Markkanen. Everyone helped by being in the right spots and keeping him from getting easy looks. Jimmy Butler determined to play versus Thunder despite injury scare. Butler gave Warriors fans a brief scare on Saturday after taking a hard fall in the second quarter against the Pelicans. Although he stayed in the game, many wondered whether he'd be ready for Tuesday's matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But Butler quickly put those doubts to rest. I'm good. I'm gonna be fine. I've got plenty of protection back there. That was all it was, he told Anthony Slater. And he made one thing clear. He wants to play. We'll see, but I hope so. I want to play basketball. I love stepping on the court and competing with these guys, and I think we've got something special. So let's go out there Tuesday and show it. The Warriors hope Butler's toughness can set the tone for a roster still trying to rediscover its identity. His presence alone has shifted the locker room dynamic, giving Golden State a second star capable of demanding accountability on both ends of the floor, something the team has lacked in recent seasons. Yet his intensity in practice does more than raise the standard. It creates a ripple effect across the rotation, especially among role players like Payton II, who rely on defensive versatility to earn minutes. Team insiders say Butler's competitive approach has fueled some of the Warriors' most physical scrimmages in years, pushing younger players such as Kuminga and Moses Moody to adapt quickly or risk losing ground in the rotation. Kuminga, in particular, has been under increased scrutiny. After entering the season with expectations of becoming a breakout scorer, he has struggled to find consistent rhythm. Coaches believe Butler's arrival, and the defensive matchups that come from it, could serve as a turning point for Kuminga, who has the athletic tools but is still learning how to read complex NBA defenses. Veterans inside the locker room have echoed that sentiment. According to team sources, several players have privately noted that Butler's voice has become one of the dominant presences in film sessions, often challenging teammates to make quicker decisions and communicate more effectively. That approach has resonated with Payton II, who thrives in chaos but appreciates the structure Butler brings. Meanwhile, the Warriors' coaching staff is carefully navigating the delicate balance of embracing Butler's competitive fire while managing the increased physicality of practices. The organization is fully aware that the margin for error this season is slim, especially as the Western Conference grows more crowded. Golden State's 8th place position means any regression could push them into the bottom half of the standings, where a single losing streak can jeopardize postseason hopes. Butler's potential absence on Tuesday would have been a significant blow considering the Thunder's explosive offense. Oklahoma City has become one of the toughest teams to guard in transition, led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's efficient scoring and Jalen Williams' growing versatility. For the Warriors, having Butler available means not only adding a defensive anchor but also stabilizing the lineup during key stretches. For now, there is quiet optimism inside the organization. Payton's expanded confidence, Butler's leadership, and a slightly improving defensive rating offer signs that Golden State may be inching toward a more cohesive identity. But until that consistency appears in the win column, the pressure will remain. The coming stretch, including matchups against the Thunder, Mavericks, and Suns, could determine whether the Warriors are climbing toward contention or bracing for another season defined by unpredictability. And for players like Payton II, every practice battle with Butler isn't just preparation. It's a reminder of what the Warriors expect to become again, a team defined by intensity, detail, and relentless competitive edge. The Warriors player who should be worried about Seth Curry's imminent signing. Seth Curry is finally set to suit up alongside his brother in a Golden State Warriors uniform, a moment fans have imagined for years. According to Shams Charania, the Warriors are finalizing a deal to keep Seth for the remainder of the season, effective December 1st. It marks a historic milestone, the first time the Curry brothers will play as NBA teammates. Seth originally joined Golden State on an Exhibit 9 contract during training camp, but due to tight financial restraints, the team couldn't convert it to a guaranteed deal until now. Because the Warriors are operating under second apron restrictions, they were forced to carry only 14 players to begin the season, waiting to accumulate the prorated salary space needed to fill the 15th roster spot, now reserved for Seth Curry. And his arrival could have major consequences for at least one player in Golden State's rotation. Seth Curry's presence puts pressure on an already crowded backcourt. By signing Seth, the Warriors are adding yet another elite shooter to a team built around spacing and precision. Across his career, Seth has knocked down 945 threes at a blistering 43.3%, the 7th highest three-point percentage in NBA history. Last season, he led the entire league with a scorching 45.6% from deep. That level of efficiency doesn't just strengthen Golden State's offense, it potentially reshapes their guard rotation. The most obvious player affected? Buddy Hield. Yes, Seth's presence could also reduce minutes for rookie Will Richard under normal circumstances. But Richard has exceeded expectations. He has started 8 games, averaged 8.4 points in 18.4 minutes, and shot a reliable 38.7% from 3. He plays within the system, competes defensively, and has earned the trust of the coaching staff. Hield, meanwhile, has struggled to find his rhythm. Buddy Hield's slump comes at the worst possible time. Once regarded as one of the game's premier shooters, Hield is averaging just 7.2 points in 17.5 minutes per game this season. His efficiency has dipped sharply, only 30.8% from beyond the arc, far below his career norm. His turnovers have also become a concern, 1.1 per game, the highest among Warriors rotation players logging fewer than 20 minutes per night. With those numbers, it's difficult to ignore the contrast. Seth Curry averaged 6.5 points with only 0.5 turnovers per game for the Charlotte Hornets last season, all while maintaining his trademark efficiency. He's dependable, low mistake, and fits the Warriors' motion-heavy system better than most reserve guards. Given Hield's inconsistent production and Seth's elite shooting profile, it's no surprise that many around the league view this move as a potential shift in the Warriors' rotation hierarchy. If Seth finds his rhythm quickly, and history suggests he will, Buddy Hield may be the player with the most to lose as Golden State recalibrates its backcourt minutes. The timing of Seth's signing also highlights the Warriors' growing urgency. Golden State has struggled to maintain offensive consistency beyond Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, and opposing defenses have increasingly collapsed on their primary scorers. Adding a proven floor spacer like Seth is not just a luxury, it's a strategic adjustment the team hopes will stabilize their second unit and ease the offensive burden on their stars. Internally, the move has sparked conversations about lineup versatility. Coaches have discussed using Seth in lineups that feature 2 ball handlers, allowing him to operate off screens while Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green initiate the offense. This is an area where Hield has had difficulty adapting. Golden State's motion-based offense requires quick reads, constant movement, and minimal isolation play. Seth's discipline, efficiency, and understanding of spacing fit more naturally into that structure. The signing has also generated quiet debate around the league. Executives observing the situation believe Golden State's decision signals a shift toward experience and reliability rather than potential upside. While Hield is still viewed as a valuable scorer, his inconsistency has made it harder for the coaching staff to depend on him in tightly contested games. Seth, on the other hand, has built a reputation as someone who rarely makes mistakes, plays within his role, and consistently hits the shots defenses give him. There's also the chemistry factor. Seth has been around the Warriors environment for years through Steven, and he understands the culture, expectations, and style of play more intimately than most new additions. Several team staff members expect him to integrate quickly, particularly alongside veterans who value precision and accountability. Meanwhile, Hield's situation becomes increasingly complicated. League analysts have speculated that his diminishing role could lead to conversations about his long-term fit with the team. Some have suggested that if Seth thrives, Hield could become a potential trade asset as the Warriors look to balance the roster later in the season. For now, the organization has not made any public indications of such plans, but the scrutiny surrounding Hield's play has intensified. The Warriors are entering a decisive stretch of their schedule, with matchups against strong Western Conference opponents looming. Seth's addition may serve as a spark, giving Golden State another reliable scoring threat in key moments. But it also raises questions about the rotation, roles, and expectations moving forward. If Seth delivers at the level the Warriors anticipate, the team's bench could suddenly transform from a weakness into a competitive advantage, and the pressure on players like Buddy Hield will only increase. Golden State is betting that the Curry brothers' reunion will not only be historic but also a turning point in their season, pushing the team toward greater stability and sharper execution as the playoff race tightens. Danny Green recently explained why he believes Draymond Green is, in many ways, a more valuable player in today's NBA than Jalen Brunson. The timing of the discussion isn't random. In 2023, Draymond signed a 4-year, $100 million extension with the Golden State Warriors, a deal that immediately sparked debate. Critics argued he wasn't worth that kind of money. Others insisted his value goes far beyond what traditional stats can capture. The Warriors have been the defining team of the past decade, winning 4 championships and reaching 6 NBA Finals. Very few players were present for every one of those runs, and Draymond Green is one of them. His reputation as a relentless, disruptive defender has made him a polarizing figure. He has been criticized for his confrontational style and on-court antics, but the truth remains. Every championship banner the Warriors hung in the last 10 years carries his fingerprints. Still, Draymond's impact has always been more complicated to measure. He doesn't pile up points, he doesn't dominate a box score, and he's never been the type of star who dazzles offensively. That's part of what fuels the criticism surrounding his contract. For many fans, big money should equal big scoring. Danny Green, however, believes that view completely misses the point. As someone who faced the Warriors throughout his career, Danny Green has seen firsthand what Draymond brings to a team. He called him one of the most versatile defenders of the modern era, someone capable of guarding every position with intelligence, physicality, and instinct. Even without elite size for a frontcourt player, Draymond anchors Golden State's defense with an understanding of positioning few players possess. His communication, rotations, and ability to switch across the floor have shaped the Warriors' entire identity. Stephen Curry is the engine of Golden State's dynasty, and Klay Thompson, a star in his own right, has received widespread recognition for the Splash Brothers' legacy. But Draymond is often the one questioned, scrutinized, or undervalued because he doesn't provide the same offensive production. That's exactly why Danny Green stepped in to defend him. On the No Fouls Given podcast with Danny Green, Paul Pierce, and Wosny Lambra, the conversation took an interesting turn. Lambra argued that Jalen Brunson's offensive load makes him a more valuable player, saying, "Brunson carries the team and controls the offense in big moments. Jalen Brunson is better than Draymond." He emphasized that elite offense is harder to find than defense at Draymond's level. Danny Green strongly disagreed. "We're talking about defense that's impactful, game-changing, dominant," he responded. His defense is being compared to Jalen Brunson's offense. 9 all-defensive selections. How often do you find a guy who can do that? He pointed out that there are plenty of good defenders around the league, yet very few who have reached Draymond's consistency or influence on both ends of the court. Draymond has long cemented himself as a foundational piece of the Warriors' dynasty. Even if he eventually slows down, His legacy within the franchise is secure. Curry, Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Steve Kerr will always stand out in the story of Golden State's rise, but Draymond Green is just as essential to that narrative. His defensive brilliance, leadership, and unique playmaking have shaped the Warriors' system and identity for more than a decade. Many teams would love to have a player like him, someone who brings toughness, communication, IQ, and a willingness to do the unglamorous work that wins games. His impact is often more significant than people realize. And the fact that newer players are frequently compared to him shows how rare and influential his skill set truly is. In the end, Draymond Green's resume speaks louder than any criticism. For championships, multiple all-defensive honors, and an irreplaceable role in one of basketball's greatest dynasties. Whether everyone agrees with his contract or not, the Warriors have made it clear, they understand his value, and they rewarded it accordingly. But Danny Green's defense of Draymond didn't just spark a debate on the podcast, it reignited a familiar conversation across NBA circles. Analysts, former players, and fans began revisiting the broader question: how do we truly measure value in the NBA? And more specifically, why does Draymond Green continue to divide opinion despite years of proven success? Following the discussion, several analysts pointed out that Golden State's most successful seasons have directly aligned with Draymond's peak defensive years. When he anchors the defense at a high level, the Warriors function like a completely different team. Film analysts highlighted how his ability to anticipate plays, direct teammates in real time, and disrupt offensive schemes often swing games in ways that don't appear in box scores. Coaches around the league have long acknowledged that preparing for Draymond requires an entirely different level of game planning. The conversation around Jalen Brunson added another layer to the debate. Brunson, who has emerged as one of the most dynamic offensive leaders in the league, represents the type of player who carries a franchise with scoring and shot creation. His rise in New York has been spectacular, and many believe he deserves to be celebrated as one of the best defensive players in the NBA. But that comparison is exactly what made Danny Green's point resonate. Offense and defense are rarely judged by the same standards, even though both can define a championship. As the debate spread, a number of former players echoed Danny Green's perspective. Some noted that Draymond is one of the rare defenders who not only executes his assignment but elevates the performance of the entire unit around him. Others argued that his leadership, accountability, and willingness to challenge teammates, sometimes aggressively, have been crucial during pressure-filled postseason stretches. Within the Warriors organization, the sentiment remains consistent. Coaches and executives have repeatedly emphasized that Draymond's understanding of their system is unmatched. His ability to initiate offense, create angles for shooters, and serve as a secondary playmaker has allowed Golden State's style of basketball to flourish for nearly a decade. Even as his scoring output has diminished, his influence on both ends has remained vital. The public reaction, however, stayed divided. Supporters praised Draymond as one of the most intelligent and impactful defenders of his generation. Critics argued that modern NBA contracts should reward players who produce more traditional star numbers. The debate over how teams should allocate their salary cap continues to evolve, and Draymond's extension remains one of the clearest case studies of that tension. Still, one thing remains undeniable: his contributions go far beyond what highlights capture. Draymond has built a legacy rooted in intensity, sacrifice, and competitive fire. His ability to elevate stars like Curry and Thompson, stabilize the locker room, and set the emotional tone of the franchise has shaped Golden State's competitive DNA. As the Warriors enter the later stages of their championship window, Draymond's presence may become even more significant. Younger players on the roster look to him for defensive guidance and leadership. The coaching staff relies on his experience to anchor schemes that have defined the team for years. And while public perception may continue to swing back and forth, his place within the organization is secure. Danny Green's comments ultimately served as a reminder: value in the NBA can't be measured solely by points per game or scoring highlights. Sometimes it's the player who holds everything together, the one who controls the intangibles, who becomes the true difference maker. And for the Warriors, that player has been Draymond Green for more than a decade. Jonathan Kuminga is widely expected to be one of the notable young players who could hit the trade market before the NBA deadline. Before the season tipped off, the Golden State Warriors signed Kuminga to a 2-year, $48.5 million extension, ending a months-long standoff. But despite that investment, Golden State has struggled to feature him consistently, and his availability has been further limited by bilateral patellar tendinitis. Because of the extension, Kuminga cannot be moved until after January 15th. Once that date passes, however, the Warriors will have the option to explore offers, and two struggling teams are already being mentioned as potential suitors. According to NBA insider Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, both the Indiana Pacers and the New Orleans Pelicans are expected to show interest in Kuminga if Golden State signals a willingness to deal. With the Warriors sitting at 10-10 and searching for stability, many around the league believe they may adopt an aggressive approach, targeting win-now contributors who can immediately fortify their rotation. Adding a reliable defender and three-point shooter to the starting lineup has become a priority, and Kuminga is the Warriors' most valuable trade piece capable of helping them make that kind of upgrade. Siegel reports that Indiana and New Orleans are two teams worth watching closely. Besides the Pacers, another team the Warriors will likely talk to regarding Kuminga is the New Orleans Pelicans. Both Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III are players Golden State has real interest in, the type of versatile wings the Warriors would love to acquire in any deal involving Kuminga. The question now is not whether teams will call, but whether Golden State is truly ready to move him. With the Warriors hovering at .500, the organization is focused on getting healthy and navigating the toughest portion of their schedule. Once that stretch softens, the front office is expected to reassess the roster, identify specific needs, and determine how much value Kuminga could fetch on the open market. Given his youth, athleticism, and untapped upside, executives around the league believe Kuminga would return a strong trade package, and that may ultimately be too compelling for Golden State to ignore. If Golden State does choose to test the market, the internal debate will likely center on one question: how much patience do they still have for Kuminga's development curve? The front office has long believed in his physical tools and two-way potential, but the organization is also fully aware that their core, Seth Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, is running out of championship runway. Every season spent waiting on Kuminga to take the next leap is another season the franchise risks wasting what is left of its dynasty window. That is why teams like Indiana and New Orleans are monitoring the situation closely. League executives have noted that Kuminga's combination of size, athleticism, and downhill scoring ability would give both teams a young forward to build around for years. The Pacers, in particular, could pair him with Tyrese Halliburton to form one of the league's fastest and most explosive young tandems. Meanwhile, the Pelicans, with their uncertain long-term outlook around Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, see Kuminga as a player who could either complement their core or eventually replace a star should they reshuffle their roster. The potential ripple effects across the league are significant. A Kuminga trade would not only reshape Golden State's future, but could also impact the Western Conference playoff picture. By acquiring a defensive-minded wing like Herb Jones or a sharpshooter like Trey Murphy, Golden State would address two of its biggest weaknesses: perimeter defense and consistent off-ball spacing. Those upgrades could dramatically shift their ceiling for the second half of the season. Internally, the Warriors know that moving Kuminga would be a controversial decision. There are members of the organization who still view him as the franchise's next cornerstone, someone who could eventually lead the team into its post-Curry era. But the coaching staff's inconsistency in defining his role, combined with his recent injuries, has made the situation more complicated than ever. As the trade deadline approaches, Golden State will be under greater pressure to decide whether Kuminga is a long-term investment or their most valuable asset in a win-now move. Rival teams, meanwhile, are preparing their offers, fully aware that once January 15th arrives, the Warriors could instantly become one of the central players in the NBA's trade market. And if Golden State ultimately decides to move forward, the deal could end up being one of the off-season's most defining transactions, shaping the direction not only of the Warriors but of at least two other franchises looking to escape mediocrity.